Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was born in 1856 in an Austro-Hungarian empire. Freud's father was a small-time merchant and his mother was a second wife of his father. He had two half-brothers who were 20 years older than him. His family background was a Jewish, but Freud was an avowed atheist. In this period, a Jewish man, Freud's only career options were medicine and law, and he chose medicine and specialized in neurology. He married in 1886 and moved to Vienna, Austria, and opened a practice specializing in nervous and brain disorders. In 1900s, he introduced the world to Freudian slips or the slips of the tongue. And one of the examples is, "Can I give you a hand?" said to one armed person. Psychoanalytic theory of Dr. Sigmund Freud. So, he developed psychic apparatus, of which a structural concept of personality composition. There are three major components of psychic apparatus. These are libido, consciousness, and the structures of personality. Libido, according to Freud, is the state of behavior in which is driven by the unconscious biologically based urges and derived from one source, which is the sexual energy or sexual drives, which needs immediate gratification. Another is the consciousness, of which he develops the three levels of consciousness: the conscious, the preconscious or subconscious, and the unconscious, of which later we will be discussing. And last is the structures of personality, the id, the ego, and the superego. Another thing that Sigmund Freud introduced was the instinct. Instinct is an inborn psychological representation of an inner somatic source of excitation. And there are two tendencies of instinct: the eros and the thanatos. Eros are drive or life instincts, and thanatos are the death instincts. Eros focuses on libido and erogenous zone, and thanatos focuses on suicide and aggressive drives for death. He also introduced anxieties. Anxiety, according to Freud, is a painful emotional experience representing a threat or danger to a person. And there are three types of anxiety. First is reality anxiety. When you say reality anxiety, these are unpleasant, non-specific feeling involving a possible danger. Example, a person driving in a crowded, fast-moving traffic in a unfamiliar city. So, one also of a significant reality anxiety today is the COVID-19 pandemic, of which everyone, when we go out to our respective homes or places, we experience unpleasant fear, and possible danger that may harm us. So that's reality anxiety. Another is neurotic anxiety. So these are apprehensions or thinking for an unknown danger. So example, a student experiences anxiety in personality of a teacher or other authority figure. So from the word, they call them terror teachers. So they develop, according to Freud, neurotic anxiety. Another is moral anxiety, which the conflict between the ego and the superego. So example, a person may feel guilty when he or she does something that is contrary to his or her conscience or moral code. Say for example, he commit mistakes over he has an extramarital affair, which is a violation of morality. So that is moral anxiety. Another thing of which Freud developed was behavioral change or behavior change. Behavior change, according to Freud, is a psychoanalytic theory that explains the normal course of personality development that may occur through optimum degrees of frustration. Thus, behavior change accounts for progressive change in terms of methods employed such as psychotherapy or psychoanalysis. So there are three types of psychotherapy according to Freud: free association, dream analysis, and transference. According to Freud, free association is a technique that is employed with which the analyst, therapist, or worker suggests the patient to verbalize every thought that comes to mind, regardless how irrelevant or repugnant it may appear. So free association, according to Freud, verbalizes, or the person verbalizes to the therapist or the worker the thing uh, that he or she somehow thinks or feel. So, verbalize, expressing one's feeling towards the worker to ventilate. Another is dream analysis. This is a technique in which an analyst therapist manages to uncover unconscious material by having patient feel association to dream images. So dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. So according to Freud, dreams have meanings. So even our superstitious beliefs, we believe that every dream has its meaning. Say for example, if you dream of a snake, others believe that if you dream of snakes or a snake, there is someone who will uh, betray you. So according to Freud, according to the theoretical explanation of Freud, he considered this as a technique for the person to ventilate his or her emotion to a worker. Another is transference. This is very common to us social workers. But first, Freud developed this. So, transference, according to Freud, refers to a client's development of attitudes towards a social worker, may it be positive, negative, or the like. In today's generation, we say transference. Social worker are very conscious with this word, especially in relating to our vulnerable groups such as sexually abused, persons with disability, solo parents, and the like. Further, part of the psychic apparatus is the level of consciousness or level of awareness. This is categorized into three: conscious, the pre-conscious or the subconscious, and the unconscious. So if you look at the picture, this is an example of the literal example or virtual example of Freud's level of awareness, of which he describes it as an iceberg. According to Freud, when we say conscious, these are our current contents of our mind that we actively think. So we are conscious that we are here today. We pray for our health. We are conscious that there is a pandemic going on. And conscious, according to Freud, is what we call working memory. And this is easily accessed all the time. So we can remember all these things, especially good memories that we have. So that is part of the conscious level. Another is the pre-conscious or subconscious, wherein these contents of the mind that we are currently aware of, thoughts, memories, knowledge, wishes, feelings, available for easy access when needed. So according to Freud, pre-conscious are stored memories of which it can be easily accessed when needed. And of course, the last is the unconscious. If we try to look at the graph, it has the big space, or bigger part than the other layers. So, unconscious contains to kept out of conscious awareness. This is not easily accessible, and these are the processes that actively keep these thoughts from awareness. So, in social work, when related with our profession, especially for sexually abuse, there are cases of which sexually abused forgot memories from the experience. And according to Freud, this person store that memories in their unconscious. Because the unconscious is so large and because we are only aware of the very small conscious at any given time, this theory likened to an iceberg where the vast majority is buried beneath the water's surface. So that is the explanation of Freud to the three levels of consciousness. According to him, the water would represent everything that we are not aware of, have not experienced, and that has not been integrated into our personalities, referred to as the unconscious, the non-conscious. Further, according to Freud, the state of the mind is divided into two parts, the conscious and the unconscious. The conscious part is the things that we are aware of, or the part of the mind that we are aware of, and the other is the unconscious, of which the part of the mind wherein we are not aware of. The unconscious mind has more influence than the conscious and has on our personality and behavior. Another psychic apparatus is the components of personality, the structures of personality, the id, the ego, and the superego. The id, according to Freud, resides completely at the unconscious level. These are acts under the pleasure principle. So, according to him, it really needs immediate gratification, the id. The immediate gratification or not willing to compromise. So, what I want, I get. It also generates all of the personality's energy. The ego resides in all levels of awareness. This operates under reality principle. So if the id is the pleasure principle, ego is the reality principle. It focuses on the here and now. It attempts negotiation between the id and the superego to satisfy both realistically. And the last is the superego, with the moralistic and idealistic part of personality. It resides in the preconscious mind and operates on ideal principle. So it begins forming at 5 years old, and initially form environmental and others. It also internalizes conventions and morals. So there is conscience, there is also determinants of personality based on different factors or dynamic forces, and it begins at child's uh, if the child ages 4 to 5. And again, essentially our conscience. So according to Freud, our unconscious part of mind are also divided into three parts: the id, the superego, and the ego, as I've said a while ago. So the id represents sexual and nutritional gratification, the superego represents the conscience, and the ego represents our conscious self, or the reality. Freud believed that these three parts affect our personality development and our individual behavior. He also maintained that our early childhood experiences, usually involving our relationship with our parents and family, are stored in our conscious mind. So after the psychoanalytic theory, we will proceed to psychosexual theory. According to Freud, he believed that an individual's sexual satisfaction or frustration was the key element in personality development. He also stated that the sex drive was the greatest shaper of personality and that sexuality was even present in infants. Remember the psychic apparatus known as libido, which focuses on sexual urges. So Freud's development of this theory probably he was interested on sexual urges or drives. So psychosexual theory of Sigmund Freud. So these are the matrix of Freud's theory: duration, the pleasure zone, main characteristic, and the task to achieve. So first stage of psychosexual theory of Sigmund Freud is the oral stage. Its duration is from birth to 1 year of age, and its pleasure principle is in the mouth. If you can see, or if you can notice, children age this one, they are more focused on biting hands, eating whatever they will see or touch. The main characteristic of this is the mouth, the lips, the tongue, and different senses. The main concern is with immediate gratification of urges dominated by the id, or the pleasure principle. The task is satisfactory feeding and weaning. Okay. So another is the anal stage. Duration is 1 to 2 years old. 2 years old rather. Pleasure zone is the anus. The main characteristic is controlling the bowels and bladder. The ego starts to control the id. And the task to achieve it is potty and toilet training. So in this anal stage, there is two categories: anal retentive and anal impulsive. When the person or the child is anal retentive, he or she could probably control bowels, or bowel, no, or toilet training. While if the person is anal fixated, he could probably develop um, stubbornness or bears. Another stage of psychosexual, another psychosexual stage of Freud is the phallic stage. Duration is from 2 to 6 years old, so this is probably preschool age. Pleasure zone is on the phallus, and accordingly, the main characteristic of this is the children or the child play with their genitals or his or her genitals, and it will likely develop adipose and electrocomplexes. Adipose complexes is the feeling of the son towards his mother, and electrocomplexes the feelings of daughter towards her father. Id demands, and ego tries to satisfy the id, and the superego tries to impose moral choices. Okay. So in here, Oedipus complex little boys have sexual attraction or feelings towards their mothers and a sense of jealousy or hatred towards their fathers. Electrocomplexes, little girls have a sexual attraction towards their fathers and a sense of jealousy or hatred towards their mothers. According to Freud, complexes are not resolved through murder, but through gradual identification of the same-sex parents, like goals, assuming goals, ambitions, mannerisms, and other personality traits. The fourth stage of psychosexual is the latency stage. Its duration is from 6 to 11 years of age. The pleasure zone is none. The main characteristics is adipose and electrocomplexes are resolved, and that identification of the same-sex parent occurs. The task is none. The fifth stage is the genital stage, of which the duration is from 11 years onward. The pleasure zone is on the genitals, and the main characteristic is increasing concern with the adult ways of experiencing sexual pleasure. So in here, according to Freud, the person is towards his or her puberty stage, of which he or she is interested in opposite sex. So the task to achieve is good relationship with members of both sexes. It's either female or male. So accordingly, Freud also introduced fixation. So as what I have said, when the person is orally fixated, he or she experience gum chews, pencil biters, smokers, and so on. Penis envy was also introduced by Freud, in which Freud believed that girls suffered penis envy because boys had pennies and girls were without them. Sigmund Freud died in 1939 in England at the age of 83 from a cancer of the jaw because, accordingly, he was a cigarette smoker over the years, and he himself was orally fixated. Freud's criticisms and critics. According to the critics of Freud, he studied very few people, so not representative sample. The process of psychoanalysis interviewing exhibit preconceived notions and biases. His methods were untreatable. Definitions don't lead themselves to experimentation, and one's personality is fixed and unchanging, obsessed with sex and aggression.